Good day, everyone. Today, we're going to present to you our research study entitled Parents and Guardians' Perception on the Influence of Using YouTube to Children in Pre-Operational Stage. This is a collaboration between the students headed by Ms. Adi Ann D. Polar and the faculty members, faculty advisors of the Pamantasan Lungsod ng Maynila, namely Dr. Cecilia O. Martinez, yours truly, Dr. Lady Ann O. De Jesus, Dr. Maricel C. Chua, Ms. Albina L. Garcia, Dr. Jennifer P. Reyes, Dr. Karen G. Sablas, Ms. Manuela P. Tirazona, and Ms. Annelique G. Penetrante. For the abstract of the study investigated parents and guardians' perceptions of YouTube's influence on children in the operational stage, that's 3 to 7 years old, by employing an explanatory, sequential mixed method design. Notably, YouTube had become a significant source of entertainment and learning for children, with 81% of parents reporting regular usage of their children under the age of 8. Concerns about potential negative effects prompted the examination of parents and guardians' perceptions and demographic factors. The study's findings, based on a survey and structured interviews conducted in barangays 92, 93, and 94 in Tondo, Manila, revealed a diverse demographic profile dominated by married, unemployed women with secondary education and low income. Cocomelon emerged as the most watched channel, with children typically engaging in morning sessions lasting approximately 4 hours. Parents and guardians generally maintained a neutral stance on their children's YouTube use, with a mean perception score of 3.09. Emotional response varied, encompassing worry, satisfaction, security, and deeper connections. Reasons for permitting YouTube use yielded a mean score of 3.49, indicating overall agreement. The study established no significant difference between parental and guardian perception, that is, feelings and reasons, and demographic profiles, highlighting a consistent perspective across diverse backgrounds. Additionally, a significant difference was found between parents and guardians' perception, that is, feelings and reasons, and the forms of accessibility among children, emphasizing the role of specific platforms and viewing times. An awareness campaign was proposed based on these findings, aiming to educate parents about their child's YouTube use. The campaign included symposium, infographics, and recommendation tailored in parents and guardians' perceptions, fostering responsible YouTube usage in the pre-operational stage. For the keywords, we have number 1, YouTube, number 2, parental and guardian perceptions, number 3, pre-operational stage, number 4, children's media consumption, number 5, demographic factors, and last, number 6, awareness. For the next presenter, may I call on Ms. Annelique G. Penetrante for the introduction.
For the introductions, the YouTube usage has grown in demand among children according to Glasgow 2021, particularly in those the pre-operational stage of the development, which according to SSHRA is from 2 to 7 years of age. During this period, children exhibit tremendous cognitive and social-emotional growth, gaining the language abilities, engaging in pretend plays, and establishing in abstract ideas. According to a study conducted by Baila 2018, young children have become increasingly reliant on YouTube in recent years. As a result, the YouTube video sharing platform established in 2005 has rapidly expanded to become among the most widely used sources suitable for children's entertainment and learning contents. Meanwhile, according to Rideout and Rope 2019, 81% of parents with children under the age of 8 said that children were watched of YouTube on a regular basis. It was evident that parents and guardians play a crucial role in their children's lives. Children relied primarily on their parents and guardians for the care of guidance they needed as they grow and mature in all aspects of development. According to De La et al., 2023, the level of parental meditations played significant role as insufficient supervisions could lead to children accessing inappropriate online content. The researchers believe that parents and guardians' perceptions were crucial in determining children's engagements with the YouTube and influences on their development as is either beneficial or detrimental depending on its utilizations. However, they recognize a limited understanding of parents, the guardian's perceptions regarding an YouTube's influence on children, particularly in a pre-operational stage. Hence, the study focused on examining parents and guardians' perceptions regarding the influences of YouTube and pre-operational stage, setting it apart from the studies that primarily explore the broader impact of internet usage on the children. Additionally, the studies regaining parents, guardians, perceptions on influence of using YouTube on pre-operational stage in the Philippines was currently limited, which added as motivations for the researchers to conduct the study. With the prevalence of exposure of children in the pre-operational stage to YouTube in the presence, the researchers want to gain better understanding of the parents and guardians' perceptions of the influence of the YouTube in their children's and pre-operational stage. The previous studies have identified the effect of the YouTube children by utilizing the perspective of the parents and guardians while taking the considerations of the parents and guardians' demographic profile. However, the researchers believe that it is not sufficient to identify parents and guardians' perceptions. There is a need to explore other factors that might affect the parents and guardians' perceptions on effect of YouTube. Through these informations, the policymakers, educators, the researchers might create interventions that promote healthy parents-child relationship and responsible YouTube use and develop recommendations, educational initiatives, and programs that were supported by researchers. For the methodology, this study utilized an explanatory sequential mixed method designs. The study was conducted in three different local barangays in Velasquez, Tondo, Manila, Barangay 92, Barangay 93, and Barangay 94. The selected barangays were chosen due to its accessibility, diversity, and representativeness of urban setting in the city. The target respondents of this research were parents and guardians residing in Barangay 92, 93, and 94 in Tondo, Metro Manila, who currently have children aged 3 to 7 years old who have the internet access and utilize YouTube. 3 to 7 years old in age range where children have more developed intelligence and age range where parents and guardians could still mediate with their child social media use. The researchers examined specific demographic parameters that became especially important in studies concentrating on parents and guardians' perceptions of the child's in YouTube's use by adapting the study from Gertz et al. 2022. The researcher provided the checklist-based questionnaires requiring the participants to check their demographic profiles. In the second part of the survey, the type of questionnaires obtained was enclosed-ended. Additionally, the questionnaires obtained in this part was self-made but with the prior basis on the top 10 YouTube channels for the kids from My Best Philippines 2023. The third part of the study include the use of pediatric quality cognitive functioning scale. The problematic media used to measure short forms as three elements of the stool and semi-structured questionnaire. May I call Ms. Manuela Tirasona for the result of the study?
Table 1 is the measure of central tendency of parents and guardians' age. Table 1 is delineated the measures of central tendency of the respondent's age within the demographic profile. The data revealed a mean of 4, indicating that on average, respondents' age aligned with the 36 to 46 years old category. The median, representing the middle value in the dataset, was reported as 3, corresponding to the age group of 31 to 35 years old. Similarly, the mode also registered a score of 3, emphasizing the prevalence of respondents falling within the 31 to 35 year. The data provided important context for understanding the age representation of the parents and guardians who were surveyed. Given that the mean of the respondents was 4 or 36 to 46 years old, it is possible that this would offer some insight into the parents and guardians' generational perspective. The parent and guardian group were presumably well represented, which is important to know to comprehend the perspective held by respondents who took the survey. The contextualization and interpretation of parents and guardians' perception regarding YouTube's influence on children can be greatly aided by the age as one of the demographic profiles. Furthermore, an article from Cherry in 2020 stated that 80% of the mothers and 70% of the fathers said that the optimal age to have children was in the 30s. Additionally, most older parents suggested that their greatest advantage was being more emotionally prepared to be a parent. However, some said that being older made them more self aware, confident, resilient, self actualized, better able to offer support, and more capable of communicating with a child. This figure is the percentage and frequency distribution of parents and guardians' age. Under the demographic profile, the number of respondents who were aged 31 to 35 years old dominated the entire figure with 24.0% or 42. Correspondingly, those who were aged 50 and above years old obtained the second highest number of respondents with 22.9% or 40, which was followed by respondents with ages 26 to 36 years old that obtained 17.1% or 30. Accordingly, the respondents whose age were 18 to 25 years old garnered 14.3% or 25, along with respondents aged 41 to 45 years old, which had 5.7% or 10. The least number of respondents aged 46 to 50 years old obtained 4.6%. Results implied that the larger population of respondents who were living in barangays 92, 93, and 94 in Tondo, Manila had an age bracket of 31 to 35 years old. This could be attributed to the respondents having the ability to take care of their children at home while watching their favorite YouTube channels and who could primarily provide for their children's holistic needs. Similarly, the British Medical Journal in 2012 found that children with parents whose ages were bracketed from 31 to 35 years old had fewer accidental injuries, fewer social and emotional difficulties, and were further along in language development. This figure is the percentage and frequency distribution of parents and guardians' sex. Figure 2 represented the percentage and frequency distribution of the respondents in terms of their sex under the demographic profile. The number of females dominated the entire figure with 87.0%, a total of 153, whereas males equated to. These findings pointed to a larger gender disparity in the responder group with a notable female preponderance. Accordingly, the distribution gave information about the gender makeup of research respondents and established a basic grasp of the sex-related demographic traits of the population under study. Moreover, Patterson in 2016 stated that parents' sexual orientation had little, if any, direct impact on children's development, especially when watching content media such as YouTube channels and platforms. This is the figure of percentage and frequency distribution of parents and guardians' educational attainment. Figure 3 represented the percentage and frequency distribution of the respondents in terms of their highest educational attainment under the demographic profile. The number of respondents who reached high school dominated the entire figure with 63.0%. Correspondingly, those who reached up until elementary obtained the second highest number of respondents with 13%, which was followed by respondents who graduated that obtained 10%. Moreover, respondents who finished taking up bachelor were at 8%. Accordingly, the respondents with a postgraduate degree garnered 6%. Finally, the least number of respondents who answered others obtained 57%. These findings demonstrated that most study respondents had completed up to their high school education. On the other hand, a similar fraction completed primary school and graduated, and a yet smaller fraction had graduate degrees. Furthermore, the Institute of Medicine and National Research Council in 2014 stated that higher levels of education are linked to an overall better quality of life, including fewer behavioral and physical health problems, lower unemployment rates, and lower rates of incarceration. For the next topic, may I call on Ms. Karen Sablas.
For figure 6, it is represented by the percentage and frequency distribution of respondents' monthly income. 9,100 dominated the entire figure with 80%. Correspondingly, those who earned 9,100 to 18,200 obtained the second highest number of respondents with 14.29%, which was followed by respondents who earned 18,200 to 36,400 that obtained 4%. Accordingly, the least number of respondents who earned 109,200 to 182,000 garnered 0.57%. And lastly, 1.14% of the respondents got their monetary assistance. Results imply that the larger population of respondents who were living in Barangay 92, 93, and 94 in Tondo, Manila were mostly earning less than 9,100. While a lower income could present financial challenges, there were potential benefits for children in such situations. These circumstances may have fostered resilience, resourcefulness, and appreciation for non-material aspects of life. It could have also promoted a strong sense of family bonds and encouraged creativity in finding affordable activities. However, it was important to address basic needs and provide a supportive environment to ensure the child's overall well-being despite financial limitations. Table 2 presents familiar channels parents and guardians children watches on YouTube. Table 2 exhibited the ranking of the familiar channels the respondents' children watched on YouTube. It was arranged from the most frequently watched videos to the least used or visited channel. The data showed that Cocomelon was the most common and familiar for children as it was composed of videos playing nursery rhymes. It placed first with a 155 score frequency, followed by Masha and the Bear with a 115 score. Marked at the third was Pink Fong with 113 score, and then Paw Patrol and Friends for the fourth rank. Blippi was in fifth place, having 80 score frequency, followed by Dave and Ava at sixth place with a 47 score frequency. The last four places were acquired by Sesame Street, PJ Masks, Super Simple Song, and National Geographic Kids with scores of 46, 35, 32, and 27, respectively. The survey yielded diverse insights into children's YouTube preferences, revealing a spectrum of content consumption. There were other options that were written down, such as Roblox with an 11 frequency score, followed by Kids, Diana Show with 6 answers, Miss Rachel that had 5 votes, Minecraft with 4, and Peppa Pig containing 3 votes. There were also 2 votes for each channel, Vlad and Nikki and Chuchu TV. The rest of the channels, Anastasia, Dinosaurs, ABCD, Disney, Sophia the First, Bebe Finn, Upin and Ipin, Mr. Bean, Ryan's World, Barbie, Caleb and Sophia, Superbook Bible Stories, Skibidi, Toilet Pocoyo, Super Mario, Angry Bird, Some Time, Voltes 5, and Nursery Rhymes each got 1 vote. There was also a written non-response that gained a 137 frequency score. The ordering of channels from the most frequently watched to the least used offered a glimpse into the preferences and viewing habits of these children. The data revealed that Cocomelon occupied the top position, suggesting that nursery rhymes might have played a significant role in the content consumed by the respondents' children. Masha and the Bear, Pink Flong, and Paw Patrol and Friends followed in the ranking, each with varying frequency scores. These channels represent a mixed animated and educational content, indicating a diverse range of preferences among the children surveyed. Channels like Blippi, Dave and Ava, Sesame Street, PJ Masks, Super Simple Song, and National Geographic Kids occupied lower positions in the ranking, while they were less frequency watched compared to the top rank in Cocomelon. The variety in content, from educational programs to entertainment, highlighted the diversity in the types of channels children engage with on YouTube. The researchers could point out, according to Michelle 2022, that Cocomelon leaned heavily into the power of repetition, and anyone with toddlers would tell that repetition was the fastest way to capture their fascination. For the next, to discuss the results, may I call on Miss Albina L. Garcia.
For Table 3, measures of central tendency of a specific time of the day, parents and guardian, children watch YouTube. Table 3 represents the measurements of the central tendency of the specific time of the day the respondents' children watch YouTube. For the mean time, or for the mean or the average hours of the gathered data, it resulted in 4 hours that started at 12 noon up to until 3:59 p.m. And for the median, the gathered data resulted in 3 that corresponds to 8 a.m. to 11:59 a.m. Similarly, the table also showed the same numbers of the mode. The results may imply that, on average, the peak time for children to watch YouTube, as reported by the respondents, fell within the early mid afternoon. The data suggested a consistent trend in the viewing habits of the respondents' children on YouTube. The mean, median, and mode converge around the morning hours. This concentration of viewing may have been influenced by various factors such as routines, availability of the free time, or parental supervision. Understanding the peak viewing times provided valuable information for content creators, educators, and parents, enabling them to tailor content and supervision to the periods when children were most likely to engage with YouTube. For Table 4 results, represent the measurement of central tendency of the number of hours spent by the children in pre-operational state watching YouTube. For the mean and the average hour of the gathered data, it had resulted in 4.566 hours or estimated at 4 hours and 30 minutes of watching YouTube. The mean and the mode, the gathered data, both resulted in 4, not far benched from the mean score from the table. The measurements were closely aligned around the 4-hour mark. The fact that the median and the mode were the same as the mean indicated that the data was relatively symmetrical, distributed around the mean. The result implied that substantial portion of respondents reported a consistent duration of YouTube viewing for their children. Consequently, it was important for parents and guardians to be aware of these patterns as they could influence considerations related to screen time limits, content appropriateness, and potential impacts on other activities in children's daily routine. Monitoring and guiding children's online activities, considering this average viewing time, became crucial in content of promoting healthy digital habits. According to Mayo Clinic 2022, unstructured playtime is most valuable for a young children's developing brain than electronic media. Children younger than age 2 were more likely to learn when they interacted and played with parents, siblings, and other children and adults. For Table 5, it represents the measurement of the central tendency of the frequency of the respondents' children in watching YouTube. For the mean, median, mode, they posted the same results corresponding to times a day. The consistent alignment of the central tendency suggests a clear pattern in reported frequency of YouTube usage among the respondents' children. The results implied that for a substantial portion of respondents, a twice daily engagement in YouTube is a common and representative behavior among time and children. This information can be valuable for parents and guardians in understanding the digital habits of children, setting appropriate limits on screen time, and addressing potential concerns to online content consumption. For Table 6, it provided a verbal interpretation of the average mean score derived from respondents' feelings expressed about their children watching YouTube as a whole. The average score of 3.09 was categorized as sometimes, with a description of moderate. The interpretation suggests that, on average, respondents perceive their children's YouTube viewing habits as occurring sometimes rather than consistently. The term moderate implied a balanced or moderate level of endorsement for concern among the respondents. While not a strong or frequent endorsement, the use of sometimes suggested that, on average, respondents acknowledge that their children engage with YouTube to a moderate extent. For the result of Table 7, statistical difference between forms of accessibility and their perception towards the influence of using YouTube to their children in the pre-operational stage. It showed the result of conducting a non-parametric test since data violated the assumption of the statistical treatment. Hence, Friedman's test was conducted to determine if there exists a significant relationship between the channels or platforms watched on YouTube towards a perception towards the influence of using YouTube. Furthermore, the Kruskal-Wallis H test was used to determine if there existed a significant difference between the number of hours, specific time of the day, and frequency towards the perception towards the influence of using YouTube. According to the statistical tests, with the exception of channels or platforms which have a p-value of less than 0.05, indicating a statistically significant difference, all of the values of the p-value were higher than 0.05, indicating the null hypothesis was not rejected. Hence, there was no statistically significant difference between number of hours, specific time of the day, and frequency of the respondents' children and their perception towards using YouTube to their children in the pre-operational stage. Based on Kindak and Canosia of 2019, due to animation and rhymes that are included on YouTube channels, parents and guardians perceive these channels as valuable, educational, and entertainment resources, but also a risk that children may imitate violent reaction they see in the media and thus behave in the demanding way. These perceptions are not necessarily relevant to the forms of accessibility among children in pre-operational stage. Thus, there is a possibility that parents are not always aware of what their children are seeing or how much time they are sitting in front of devices. This is according to American Academy of Children and Adolescent Psychiatry of 2020. For the next topic, let me call on Dr. Maria Cecilia O. Martinez.
Okay, for the conclusion, based on the findings of the study, the researchers concluded the following. 1. The majority of the respondents in the study were between 31 and 35 years of age, a demographic that was predominantly composed of married women. Those women had obtained secondary education, were unemployed at the time of the study, and belonged to low-income households. 2. Cocomelon, Masha and Bear, Ping Fong, and Paw Patrol and Friends were the most watched shows by children in the pre-operational stage, respectively. The data revealed that most of them use YouTube during the morning with viewing sessions lasting at least 4 hours a day. 3. Parents typically viewed their children's engagement with YouTube in a neutral manner, and they also understood the justifications for permitting their children to use the platform. While maintaining a neutral stance, there was an indication of an overall positive perspective. 4. The overall perception or feelings and reasons of parents and guardians on the influence of YouTube on children in the pre-operational stage and their demographic profile indicated that there was no significant difference between the two variables. 5. There was a significant difference between the forms of accessibility among children in the pre-operational stage and parents and guardians' perception or feelings and reasons in using YouTube. 6. The findings of the study could be used to develop an awareness campaign that focused on the recommendations of parents and guardians as well as educating them based on their feelings and reasons regarding the influence of YouTube on their child in the pre-operation stage. For the recommendation, here is Ms. Maricel Chua.
In light of the findings and conclusions drawn in this study, the following recommendations are formulated. The study could be used to provide a comprehensive picture of how parents and guardians perceive the influences of YouTube on their children in the pre-operational stage. This study could offer further knowledge to the parents and guardians of children in the pre-operational stage through the development of an awareness campaign with infographics, which would be conducted in the selected barangays. Next is that this study might guide educators and professionals to see how parents and guardians perceive YouTube, which could help in the development of various teaching methods and learning materials. This would help promote the appropriate use of YouTube in children while minimizing the risk of developing unsafe behaviors. Okay. Further research was suggested to understand how the mediation practices and strategies of parents and guardians concerning YouTube influence their children in the pre-operational stage. Next is that different YouTube contents should be explored thoroughly to explore which videos negatively or positively influence parents and guardians' perception to YouTube. Continued research on educational channels and platforms should be conducted and disseminated to educators and professionals, as well as parents and guardians of children in the pre-operational stage. Next is that since the research was limited in terms of time and participants, it was recommended to be conducted in a larger sample size and a different population to further examine the significant difference between variables. And lastly, conducting an in-depth qualitative study would be valuable to generate further data on the significant differences between parents and guardians' perception about their children's use of YouTube. Okay, so thank you so much for listening. So that will be our presentation for this study entitled Parents and Guardians Perception on the Influences of Using YouTube to Children in Pre-Operational Stage. Thank you.